Well, hello and welcome, everybody. This is your host, Ken D. Foster. It is a beautiful day to evolve. Wouldn't you say that? Well, listen, today I have a very special guest. We're going to be talking a little bit about the quantum sciences, quantum physics, and, ways that we can connect deeply with our soul, our spirit, tap into the superconscious, be able to expand our thinking, expand our choices, expand our life in so many ways. If this is of interest to you, then what I hope you'll do is go grab a friend and say, hey, come on, let's watch this together. Today in society, we're at the brink. We're really at the brink right now. It's getting lighter for a lot of people. They're getting a lot more light in the world. There's also a lot more darkness in the world. And we're at a convergence right now. Which way will it go? Well, that a lot will depend on you. It'll depend on, if you're deciding that you want to change you want to step up, you want to be part of the solution and instead of part of the problem, then you're at the right place. This show is all about that. We're going to be talking a little bit about some of the principles that you can apply in your life and probably some insights, a little wisdom here today so that you can take your thinking to an upshift level of thinking. I guess that's what we call it. We're going to upshift the thinking today. So I hope you really enjoy this. And by the way, there's going to be a lot given today. So if you are like me, you're probably going to want to listen to it a few times. Okay. Listen, I'm going to take a break. And when I come back, I'm going to have my first and only guest. And we're going to talk about the quantum physics, quantum science, and all about you.
Are you ready to transform your life and get what you really want? Hi, this is Ken D. Foster, and over the past 30 years, I've helped thousands of people change the course of their lives by doing one special thing daily. This is the foundation of my latest book, The Courage to Change Everything. It is the ultimate guide to awakening the transformative power within you to get what you want. In this book, I'll teach you exactly how to unlock your hidden potential, break through your limitations, and get what you want, no matter what's happening in the economy or things beyond your control. So why wait? Get your copy of The Courage to Change Everything right now at couragetochange.us. That's couragetochange.us. There's no risk to you. If you're not fully satisfied that this book has supported you in getting what you want, just to return it for a full refund.
Imagine this is your money and someone wants to take it from you. Who is it? The IRS. Guess what? They want your money and they can take it, all of it if they want. Remember, they sent you that letter right over here that said, hey, you owe us a bunch of cash and we're going to take it from you right now. So what do? You fight back by letting our team of experts work it out with the IRS so you can keep your money. And hey, we're good at what we do. When you hire us, you get a team of guys on your side that know the IRS laws, and we'll fight really hard to save your money. So, if you owe the IRS a ton of cash and you want to keep it, call right now and learn for free how we can help you put it back in your pocket. 5 minutes of your time right now can save you thousands of dollars. And the best part, it's a free call, so please call right now.
Hi everyone watching at home. We're here to remind you that if you or someone you know were injured in an accident that was not your fault, listen up. We have live agents available right now to answer your questions and tell you how much your case is potentially worth. Hi, I'm Gina Bellich, here with spokesman and TV personality Tom Mustin with us in the Help Center. So Tom, phones are really busy over there. Tell us what kind of calls you're seeing.
Well, Gina, first off, thank you for having me here in the call center with you. We always enjoy talking to the viewers and getting folks the compensation that they deserve. You know, we're seeing calls about all kinds of accidents, but the most common by far has been car accidents. So if you or someone you know were injured in an accident that was not your fault, give us a call right now. You'll speak with a live person. They'll answer any questions you have and tell you if you have a case and how much your case is potentially worth.
Thanks, Tom. All right, folks at home, you heard it. Take advantage of this opportunity and call now.
Well, welcome back, everybody. This is your host, Ken D. Foster. I have my very special guest today, Peter Canova. Peter, welcome to the show. It's good to have you.
Hi, Ken. Nice to be with you.
Yeah. Well, for those of you that don't know Peter, he's a highly successful business man. He's multilingual. He has written a series of life-changing books, in my estimate, that are helping people to really take their lives to a completely new level. He is the author of the 25 award-winning First Soul trilogy. And, of course, he's contributed to the popular Chicken Soup for the Soul series, which, by the way, I've got Mark Victor Hansen on my show a little later on today, so that'll be fun. And he also has a new book out. It's called Quantum Spirituality. So welcome to the show, Peter. And I know there's a whole bunch more that I didn't get in that bio, but we'll get there.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. So, you've done a lot. How did you get into the studying spirituality and consciousness? What shifted for you? Because you're in business, right?
Yeah. I really have been in business all my adult life. But when I was in my 20s, I kind of spontaneously discovered that I was a very accurate medical intuitive. And when I finally put the disbelief of that to the back of my mind, it opened up a whole door of experiences like remote viewing, clairaudience, clairvoyance, premonitions, psychokinesis. I mean, I started manifesting all these different phenomena. And I'm a Capricorn. And also I'm also both left brain and right brain. So I said, I don't just want to have these experiences. I'd like to understand something about the nuts and bolts behind them. So I started a formal study of ancient spiritual wisdom to begin with, and then I kind of drifted over to quantum physics. And the nexus there is that both ancient spiritual wisdom and quantum physics essentially deal with the same subject matter, which is the nature of light, energy, and matter and consciousness. So there, some people might say, well, what's the connection there? But there is a very deep connection. And what I actually found, to my astonishment, was that the ancient spiritual masters, particularly the Gnostics, who were Judeo-Christian mystics, predicted almost every major theory of quantum physics 2,000 years ago. And in my book, Quantum Spirituality, I give some very specific examples of that. But it was the confluence of these two disciplines that, as a result of, my own personal experience, that led me on the path that I'm on now.
Well, I love that. That your path, well, I can tell you, my path was when I woke up in 1992, I started reading voraciously. And where I really studied a lot was in the beginning, was the Gnostic Gospels. And I think it was Elaine Piaget that wrote that, one of the first books on the Gnostic Gospels. And, that really opened my eyes, from growing up as a Catholic, and then letting that go and becoming a reborn Christian. And, and going down that path, when I got that esoteric teachings, everything started to make sense because there were pieces that were left out. For me,
Mm-hmm.
things that when I understood about little pieces like reincarnation, where everything came from, had concepts of praying from God to God, starting to understand that we are the infinite, we are the divine. And that seemed to shift a lot for me. So with your study of Gnostic Gospels, what did it give you? What happened with the Gnostic Gospels for you?
Well, it sounds like your path was somewhat similar to mine, because I grew up in the same, religious tradition. And I came across, I'm trying to even remember how I came across the Gnostic Gospels, but I read many of the authors that you cited, like Elaine Pagels. In fact, I've had conversations with Dr. Pagels and Stefan Heller, who I've also met personally, had conversations with. And fortunately, I speak Greek, so I was able to look at the texts in their original Greek. You probably are aware from your own study with the Gnostic Gospels, it takes some years of study in order to understand them. because they were writing in a context and writing about things that the modern mind really isn't able to relate to today. We're not immersed in the same environment. But once you really understand what's being said there, again, I think maybe the difference between me and the other Gnostic authors is that I carried it to the next step into quantum physics and looked at the similarities between the two in detail. But what I loved about the Gnostics was that they were, amongst all the other ancient mystics, I would say the most scientific of all the ancient mystics, very precise, and even Carl Jung, the famous depth psychologist, when he first read the Gnostic Gospels, he said, "Hey, these people got there before me. Finally, I found some people who I can understand. They're like my friends." And literally, Jung's, there was a real question whether Jung kind of took his psychology from the Gnostics or the Gnostics reinforced Jung's psychology that he already had. He was so in tune, with the Gnostic revelations of the mind and how consciousness works and so forth. So they covered the fields of consciousness. They covered the fields of reality. So many things that we concern ourselves with today.
So true, and I'm since I'm just sitting here laughing because I'm thinking, with Jung and some of the other psychologists in the early part of that field, seemed to me like, as I read the Bhagavad Gita and the Gnostic Gospels and some of the other mystic teachings, and I look and I go, well, it seems like Western psychology just took those teachings, cut off God, and threw it into the world. So there was a piece where we just cut things off. But anyway, listen, you got a couple of really amazing books out, and I want to talk about the First Souls trilogy. I want to start there because I know you have your new one out, but I'd like to cover that. And let's just actually, you know what? I got to take a quick break. Let me take a quick break, and then when we get back, we'll take a dive into that in what that's all about.
Okay.
Are you ready to transform your life and get what you really want? Hi, this is Ken D. Foster, and over the past 30 years, I've helped thousands of people change the course of their lives by doing one special thing daily. This is the foundation of my latest book, The Courage to Change Everything. It is the ultimate guide to awakening the transformative power within you to get what you want. In this book, I'll teach you exactly how to unlock your hidden potential, break through your limitations, and get what you want, no matter what's happening in the economy or things beyond your control. So why wait? Get your copy of The Courage to Change Everything right now at couragetochange.us. That's couragetochange.us. There's no risk to you. If you're not fully satisfied that this book has supported you in getting what you want, just to return it for a full refund.
Imagine this is your money and someone wants to take it from you. Who is it? The IRS. Guess what? They want your money and they can take it, all of it if they want. Remember, they sent you that letter right over here that said, hey, you owe us a bunch of cash and we're going to take it from you right now. So what do? You fight back by letting our team of experts work it out with the IRS so you can keep your money. And hey, we're good at what we do. When you hire us, you get a team of guys on your side that know the IRS laws, and we'll fight really hard to save your money. So, if you owe the IRS a ton of cash and you want to keep it, call right now and learn for free how we can help you put it back in your pocket. 5 minutes of your time right now can save you thousands of dollars. And the best part, it's a free call, so please call right now.
Whether you're an active person that wants extra supplemental movement, maybe you want to keep your legs active while you work, or you wish to support your therapy at home, or you just want to build strength, increase your mobility, flexibility, and boost your circulation, Ellipse was made for you. Power-assisted exercise that frees your mind to enjoy your favorite seated activities. Just plug it in, place your feet, select your speed, and relax. Ellipse does all the work for you. Call now and order Ellipse.
Do you listen to the TV on high volume or have trouble hearing conversations? Then you would benefit from hearing aids. Don't waste thousands on expensive hearing aids when you can get MD Hearing's revolutionary Neo hearing aids for just $299 a pair. Don't be fooled by higher-priced hearing aids. The Neo is a true hearing aid, not an amplifier. With rechargeable technology many customers say is superior to more expensive models. Call now and get not one, but two Neo hearing aids for just $299. Plus, we'll add in a portable charging dock and ship your order absolutely free. The Neo is nearly invisible with its tiny in-the-ear canal design. And you can get two Neo hearing aids with a 45-day risk-free trial, free shipping, and free lifetime US-based support for only $299. So call now.
800-789-7885. Again, that's 800-789-7885.
Hi, everyone watching at home. We're here to remind you that if you or someone you know were injured in an accident that was not your fault, listen up. We have live agents available right now to answer your questions and tell you how much your case is potentially worth. Hi, I'm Gina Bellich, here with spokesman and TV personality Tom Mustin with us in the Help Center. So Tom, phones are really busy over there. Tell us what kind of calls you're seeing.
Well, Gina, first off, thank you for having me here in the call center with you. We always enjoy talking to the viewers and getting folks the compensation that they deserve. You know, we're seeing calls about all kinds of accidents, but the most common by far has been car accidents. So if you or someone you know were injured in an accident that was not your fault, give us a call right now. You'll speak with a live person. They'll answer any questions you have and tell you if you have a case and how much your case is potentially worth.
Thanks, Tom. All right, folks at home, you heard it. Take advantage of this opportunity and call now.
Well, welcome back, everybody. This is your host, Ken D. Foster. I'm talking with Peter Canova. We're talking about consciousness and the evolution of consciousness as we understand it. Peter, you have the book out, Souls Trilogy. Talk to me a little bit about that. I'm not real familiar with that particular book,
Right.
but I know that doesn't really matter. You've gotten 25 awards for that book.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah, the first Souls Trilogy. Well, when I really felt the urge to try and communicate some of the things that I'd gone through for the benefit of other people, in order for them to see what my path might have been and what knowledge I accumulated, I had two choices. I could either do fiction or nonfiction. I decided to do entertaining fiction first. So the first Souls Trilogy is a geopolitical spiritual thriller. It's about the first souls to incarnate into materiality, and it traces their lives over critical epochs of human history when humanity is at junctures where they're either going to evolve or decline. The first book is called Pope Annalisa. Incidentally, the book was kind of like Star Wars, written in reverse order. So the first book is really the third book. Pope Annalisa is the first book about an African nun who becomes the first female pope during a time when America and Iran are about to go into a nuclear war. And the second book, The 13th Disciple, goes back into biblical times, dwelling mostly on Mary Magdalene and the early female leaders of the church, and how the original mysticism of the church got corrupted, much to the great detriment of Western civilization. And then the third book is the Book of Origins, where the souls first came into the earth, and they formed a great earthly empire, kind of like an Atlantis type of empire, but it became divided between those who lost their source consciousness and sank into, you know, complete consciousness of materiality, and those who still retain their connection with the source, ending up in a civil war that destroyed that civilization, but actually gave birth to the civilizations that we know, like Greece and Egypt. So that's kind of the arc of the trilogy, and we're working on the first book, where they've become cult hits. We're working on the first book right now to get it into a TV series on one of the streaming networks.
Oh, I love that. Wow. Love to talk to you about that. I love that. I love what you're doing. In fact, that now that you described it, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go get that book, that trilogy, because it sounds really good. Let me ask you, is it on Amazon? Is it on Audible?
Yeah, it's on. Pope Annalisa is on Audible. All the other books that are also all on Amazon or Barnes and Noble or any of the the normal booksellers, or you can access some of the sites from my website, petercanova.com. But I mean, if you look at Amazon, it has most, I think, like 80% 5-star reviews out of all, close to like 100 reviews and so forth. People really love it. I mean, a lot of people come at it and say, oh, this is going to be like the Da Vinci Code. But what they find is it's much more in depth and much more historically accurate.
Well, I love that a lot. I was up in Sacramento. I was meditating one day, and I was a new meditator at the time, and all of a sudden, out of the ethers comes this eagle, and it just envelops my body. And I thought, I need to take a ride to San Diego. So about a week later, I get in the car, and as I'm driving to San Diego, I saw 7 eagles on the way down, which is, I've never seen anything like that, right? I get to San Diego, and I'm trying to think, where do I go to, what am I going to do? Where do I go? And I'm kind of guided by hawks now. And I ended up in this bookstore down there. It was called the Psychic Eye. And I walked into the bookstore, and there all the books are, put in with the spine out. And the first thing I do is I grab this book, I pull it out. It's the picture of the eagle on the cover, and it's called Return of the Bird Tribes by Ken Carey. And this book describes what happened. It's like, I feel, and the reason I mention it, it's almost after your trilogy. It describes what happened in North America and South America, and why the consciousness was lost. What happened that we went from the higher ages down to the lower ages in the Americas. I love this subject because I think there's truth in fiction, and they kind of weave together a lot. But I think you've mastered that, putting that together in an art form that we can start to really awaken our own souls, our own remembrance of what's going on. Does that resonate with you?
Well, that's a lot of what you say is very true, because if you look at the arc, and in fact, this is the nature of art itself, but if you look at the arc of the human story, of the story of consciousness, it's a story of devolution. It's a story of descent and limitation into a lower state, and then working our way back up to the higher state of our origin. That's really the arc of life, and it's really the arc of art. I gave a talk at the Saban Theater in LA, tracing the whole story of existence from a Gnostic and a spiritual standpoint, to show how art imitates life, art imitates consciousness. But yeah, what you said is very true. And what happened was that after I wrote the trilogy, the underpinning of the trilogy is quantum and physics and spirituality. Those are the sort of underlying themes of the spiritual thriller. But I had about 35, 40 years of research that I had compiled. And then I said, well, I've done the fictional thing. Maybe I should do something now in nonfiction to be a more, pointed teaching of some of these principles. And that's how I ended up doing the book we're talking about today, Quantum Spirituality.
Well, I'm going to put that on the screen in just a second, but I'm going to tell you a story too. The reason that we look at it seems like we're in devolution, right? Devolving is because that's really where we don't go much further back than to be able to see how we devolve. But if there's a book out there called The Holy Science, it was written by Swami Sri Yukteswar back in the 1800s. And he was a Vedic astrologer, and what he showed in his book, through Vedic astrology, is there's 12,000 years ascending and 12,000 years descending. So there's a circle that we're going through right now. We're at about 6 o'clock. We're starting to head back up into the higher ages again. The yugas. Yeah. So we're, we just came out of Kali Yuga. We're going into, one of the higher yugas. Dwapara Yuga, I think, is where we are now. So, I think it's interesting. We don't know much, but we're learning more and more as we go along. All right, let's talk about that book, because I think that I'm going to put it on the screen right now for everybody to see. And if you can't see it, because you're in my radio audience, it's called Quantum Spirituality by Peter Canova. And I know you probably get this on Amazon too, Peter. Is that right?
Yeah, Amazon, pretty much all the online and booksellers. It's in some bookstores, but the easiest way to get it would be off Amazon, and you can read the reviews there. So
if I'm reading this book, and you wrote it to bring in more, I guess, more science around some of the spiritual principles, or show the balance between them. What would a reader walk away with when they read this book? What is it that you wanted them to get?
Yeah, I think the most important thing about it is that it has a sense of balance. So I call it a roadmap for people's spiritual journey. And like any map, you want to have more than one coordinate, north and south, latitude and longitude, because then you're sort of in an arena that makes more sense and not going around in a circle. So there's a lot of beautiful stuff in spirituality, but, I've sat in many audiences with spiritual teachers and so forth and so on. And, essentially you have to take a lot of things on faith, unless you've had maybe some of the experiences that I've had or some other people have had. You're largely going on the faith of somebody else. So I feel that faith is fine, but there's a higher degree, which is knowledge, and I don't mean knowledge like book learning knowledge necessarily, but knowledge which is experiential knowledge. So the difference is, I can tell you fire burns, but until you put your hand in the fire, you don't know that for sure. Once your hand's in the fire, you own that. You know it's real. You know it's the real McCoy. So what quantum spirituality really is a book that connects a lot of dots from a lot of different disciplines, primarily ancient spirituality, Gnostic spirituality, and quantum physics, but also Jungian depth psychology, and biochemistry, a lot of different things to show with a very powerful documentation what the nature of reality really is. And armed with that type of knowledge in an arena of knowledge, people can then take those things and incorporate them into their thinking and their practice, which I believe will really dramatically enhance their spiritual journey. And that's the reason I wrote the book, is to help people and enable people to connect with source or higher consciousness, have extraordinary experiences.
Wow. Okay. So I have a question. We started the show with you talking about some of your experiences when you were young, where you were starting to, have clairaudience, clairvoyance, remote, seeing things remotely, remote healing,
remote viewing.
What else? Probably seeing auras and things like that. Is this something anybody can learn? Is this something that's built in? What's your take on that?
Well, in my experience, anybody can have these experiences, but they come to us in different ways. Some people, it happens, kind of spontaneously. Like with myself, it was fairly spontaneous. I was initially in a place where we were, kind of studying ESP, but not everybody ended up with the same degree of experience that I had from it, where I found out I was a very accurate medical intuitive. But everybody can come to this. Sometimes a lot of it has to do with your desire. It has to do with your focus and your intent and your desire. Because if you're so wrapped up in the everyday world of work, entertainment, family, whatever, and you don't devote any time to thinking about these matters, then chances are you're not going to go very far with it. But if you have a real desire in your heart to understand what the world is really all about. That's the catalyst to set you on a path that opens up the channels where you start to acquire the type of information, run into the type of people like you did, pick the right books off the shelves, you know, that are going to help your progress. And I always say that you have two choices in life. You can either live in the basement or the penthouse. If you want to live in the basement, you'll survive, but you won't see very much. If you want to live in the penthouse, you can now start to see the real panorama and the flow of life, and that the fact that life isn't just confined to what we believe the material world to be, but the material world is the bottom rung of a ladder of many dimensions of existence and consciousness that preceded it. So, you know, that's really when you move up to the penthouse and you start to see it. So if you have that desire to really understand what life is about and gain more of a measure of control about your life, that to me is the catalyst for people of all walks of life, no matter where you're at, to begin that journey and maybe attain those experiences.
Well, you know, I think pain is also a great motivator of men and women. And, you know, if I know it was for me, I was in a place where things were not working. I was living in a paradigm of that, you know, really programmed by the beliefs of my religion, of my family, of my society at the time. And, you know, all those beliefs ended up with a body that was sick, a mind that was sick, and in a place where I'm making a lot of money, but I was so unhappy, so unfulfilled. So I know some of my audience are at that place too. And, you know, it's okay to be there because, you know, pain teaches us, you know, if we let it, if we embrace it, if we let it teach us.
Well, I'm very glad you mentioned that, Ken, because you're very accurate on that score. I think probably the majority of people come to that point of desire to expand when they've hit rock bottom. Mm-hmm. And you know, I was lucky. I was one of those where it just happened to me, maybe because I was always so, you know, inquisitive, and I was one of these people that was too much in my head and everything else. But for a lot of people, they have to hit that, you know, that kind of rock bottom. And that emotion has to say, I can't take this anymore. This isn't working for me. I'm either checking out or I gotta check in and find out more about what this, you know, whole thing is about here.
And you know what's also going on today that comes into my world a lot is this new phrase called a spiritual emergency. And basically what that is maybe you've hit rock bottom or maybe not. But all of a sudden, your paradigm shifts. All of a sudden, what was important to you is not important anymore. What you saw in the past, you know, maybe the relationships that you have, all of a sudden, they're not the right ones for you. And you're searching, you're wondering, what's the next step? And a lot of times, what I direct people is to a book like yours, because that happens to start, that helps people to start to understand that this is the bottom rung of consciousness, and that if you're living in one paradigm, it's okay. You can let that paradigm go, that whole belief system that you've been in, and you can try on something new to have more joy, to have more love, more happiness in your life. And
well, that's where I was at.
Like me, you probably tried on a lot of these different paradigms, Peter, over the years.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, I started off as a successful real estate developer, and I'm still in business and done very well. I left a lot of money on the table to go out and pursue this path and write these books and everything. My family thought I was insane. You know, I mean, I'm doing just fine, but I did leave quite a bit of money on the table because this became reality to me. This was a passion to me. This was more important than sitting around and just making money. Now, I don't want to belittle money. I mean, money is a great facilitator for the things that we want to do in life. And, you know, fortunately, I've been, you know, I've done well enough that I don't have to be dependent on book sales, which you don't make a lot of money on anyway. But you know, it became a real passion for me, and I wanted to share that with other people in hopes and in ways that would facilitate them, you know, having their own uplifting experiences, because that's really what life is about, isn't it? I mean, you know, we want to, at the end of the day, I think we want to help other people in ways that, we've been fortunate ourselves. And one way I feel that I've been fortunate is having these realizations that I wanted to share with other people.
Well, we're kindred spirits in that. And I left a career that, was, making me a lot of money. And, but you know what, when it stops working, when you realize that you wake up every day and you're doing things that you don't want to do, you feel like you have to do them, and you surround yourself with individuals that, sure, they're friendly, but they're not necessarily your friends. They're just there. And when I woke up in that period, I went, I need to find the nature of reality. You said it earlier. I need to find the nature of reality. What is reality? Because the reality I was living was not a reality that I wanted to live the rest of my life with. So for me, that was a driving catalyst. Listen, I got to take a quick break, and we come back. I want to talk about practical quantum physics. How do we apply the principles that we've learned in quantum physics to our everyday lives to make our lives better? All right, we are going to take a break, and I will be right back.
Imagine this is your money and someone wants to take it from you. Who is it? The IRS. Guess what? They want your money and they can take it, all of it if they want. Remember, they sent you that letter right over here that said, hey, you owe us a bunch of cash and we're going to take it from you right now. So what do? You fight back by letting our team of experts work it out with the IRS so you can keep your money. And hey, we're good at what we do. When you hire us, you get a team of guys on your side that know the IRS laws, and we'll fight really hard to save your money. So, if you owe the IRS a ton of cash and you want to keep it, call right now and learn for free how we can help you put it back in your pocket. 5 minutes of your time right now can save you thousands of dollars. And the best part, it's a free call, so please call right now.
Whether you're an active person that wants extra supplemental movement, maybe you want to keep your legs active while you work, or you wish to support your therapy at home, or you just want to build strength, increase your mobility, flexibility, and boost your circulation, Ellipse was made for you. Power-assisted exercise that frees your mind to enjoy your favorite seated activities. Just plug it in, place your feet, select your speed, and relax. Ellipse does all the work for you. Call now and order Ellipse.
Do you listen to the TV on high volume or have trouble hearing conversations? Then you would benefit from hearing aids. Don't waste thousands on expensive hearing aids when you can get MD Hearing's revolutionary Neo hearing aids for just $299 a pair. Don't be fooled by higher-priced hearing aids. The Neo is a true hearing aid, not an amplifier. With rechargeable technology many customers say is superior to more expensive models. Call now and get not one, but 2 Neo hearing aids for just $299. Plus, we'll add in a portable charging dock and ship your order absolutely free. The Neo is nearly invisible with its tiny in-the-ear canal design. And you can get 2 Neo hearing aids with a 45-day risk-free trial, free shipping, and free lifetime US-based support for only $299. So call now.
800-789-7885. Again, that's 800-789-7885.
Hi, everyone watching at home. We're here to remind you that if you or someone you know were injured in an accident that was not your fault, listen up. We have live agents available right now to answer your questions and tell you how much your case is potentially worth. Hi, I'm Gina Bellich, here with spokesman and TV personality Tom Mustin with us in the Help Center. So Tom, phones are really busy over there. Tell us what kind of calls you're seeing.
Well, Gina, first off, thank you for having me here in the call center with you. We always enjoy talking to the viewers and getting folks the compensation that they deserve. You know, we're seeing calls about all kinds of accidents, but the most common by far has been car accidents. So if you or someone you know were injured in an accident that was not your fault, give us a call right now. You'll speak with a live person. They'll answer any questions you have and tell you if you have a case and how much your case is potentially worth.
Thanks, Tom. All right, folks at home, you heard it. Take advantage of this opportunity and call now.
Are you ready to transform your life and get what you really want? Hi, this is Ken D. Foster. And over the past 30 years, I've helped thousands of people change the course of their lives by doing one special thing daily. This is the foundation of my latest book, The Courage to Change Everything. It is the ultimate guide to awakening the transformative power within you to get what you want. In this book, I'll teach you exactly how to unlock your hidden potential, break through your limitations, and get what you want, no matter what's happening in the economy or things beyond your control. So why wait? Get your copy of The Courage to Change Everything right now at couragetochange.us. That's couragetochange.us. There's no risk to you. If you're not fully satisfied that this book has supported you in getting what you want, just to return it for a full refund.
Hi, this is Ken D. Foster. Welcome back, and I'm with Peter Canova, and we're talking about the inner fields of consciousness and how to be able to maybe see things that you haven't been able to see before, maybe experience your life in a different way and be able to do things that might have been impossible for you. Now, how we can do this, but we have to have these breakthroughs, in my opinion. Peter, let's talk about quantum physics and, and some of the quantum fields. How can somebody maybe tap into it, and how can we apply this into our daily lives? How have you applied it?
Well, I think the first thing to understand is that the quantum world is pointing to the fact that everything that we think of as 3D reality is an illusion. We are truly living in a matrix. We're living in a simulation. And let's start with some basics to talk about why that is. Number one, I think most of us understand by now that this supposedly solid world that we live in is made of subatomic particles that have a lot of space between them, and that the world that forms this world, the microscopic world, it is nothing like the world that we experience. So we know, for instance, that the atoms are actually 99% light, energy, and space, and only 1% mass. Now, we dwell on the 1%, we forget the 99%. Einstein's E equals mc squared told us that matter is light energy in a lower state of vibration. Matter and energy are interchangeable. So you just saw the movie Oppenheimer, perhaps? Well, the whole atomic bomb is nothing more than releasing matter into its original energetic state, which obviously, with the power of the atom bomb, how, the huge amounts of energy are contained in small amounts of matter. So, there really is no such thing as matter. Now, let me go a little bit in depth to explain that. What scientists have found is at the very basic levels, there is no matter. There are no electrons. There are no subatomic particles. What there are energy fields, waves of light energy. So science is kind of moving away from the study of these manifestations of particles and things like that in order to understand the energy field. And essentially, we are kind of like blips in this infinite field of energy that collapse into particular states that we call matter. But the fundamental state that it comes from is energy. So good way to liken this is I live part of the time in Florida, and we get things here called water spouts. And a water spout is like a waterborne, kind of like mini tornado. And it just it comes down right in the water, and it draws up from the water. And the water is the smooth surface. The water is the smooth field that I would liken to the quantum energy field. The blip in the field is this water spout. It's a disturbance, and it has a manifestation. We see it as a water spout, but really it comes from the flat field of the water or ocean or whatever the case might be, the body of water. So scientists are essentially saying that this is the same way reality operates, that reality is this kind of smooth field of energy, but occasionally, under certain circumstances, there are disturbances or blemishes in that smoothness, like a hole in Swiss cheese or something like that. And those little cul-de-sacs form what we think of is reality. So you know, the scientists are also, right from the very inception of quantum physics, there's a brilliant German physicist named Max Planck. And Max Planck is the father of modern quantum physics. He coined the term quantum physics. Quanta means the study of light. Max Planck started studying the properties of light energy. And what he concluded, and I'm going to paraphrase this because I don't remember the exact words, but he said, I can assure you that there's no such thing as matter. All matter is a function of a mind, an underlying mind that brings the apparent matter to a vibration that we perceive. So the father of modern quantum physics is telling us, hey, guys, what you think of as reality is just a state of consciousness, that there's a master consciousness out there that's behind all this. So all life is a frequency of vibration of consciousness. That's what quantum physics is telling us. And interestingly enough, Ken, with your knowledge and background of Gnosticism, Gnostics were essentially saying the same thing, that life is a projection, an emanation of this master conscious force. We're not, you know, you were raised as a Catholic, me too. So, you know, what were we told? We were like these separate creations from a judgmental God. And we were kind of, you know, raised from the dust of the earth and put down here like these little wind-up dolls in a lunatic asylum, bouncing against one another. And oh, by the way, we ticked God off right from the beginning, and now we're forever trying to get back in his good graces with original sin. Well, the Gnostic says, no, that's not at all. We are actually projections of the very force that runs throughout all of creation. We are part of that conscious stream. And we're not separate creations from the thing that created us. We are part of that creation, albeit in a limited state where we have forgotten our original condition.
You know, and based on that, the thought of God, we're as close to God as we'll ever be, because we are in this place where, and I would describe it as kind of a movie. We're part of the movie. And we're creating these dreams in the movie field. And it's when we can step back from this, quote, material thinking and be able to watch our lives more as a dream, more as a movie, and not take it so serious, but enjoy what we're doing, right? Life gets a lot better. It gets a lot more joyful. And
yeah, let me give a little analogy that may help the listeners a lot here. Look at a power grid. Let's think of a typical electrical power grid. You have the source of the power grid, but that has to be stepped down and in order to be made usable and functional for our everyday needs. So, you know, we have these relay stations and they tamp down the energy, and then the energy goes to, you know, our industrial uses, our personal uses, our household uses, and everything else. Well, the universe operates the same way. We have the master source of consciousness, which is this high pure energy, which has stepped itself down in effect. And we are the relay stations. We are part of that stream of consciousness, but we're the relay stations. So we're in a lower state of energy, but we're still part of that same energy stream. And we, as you said, have used that limited consciousness to dream ourselves into the limitation of spirit in a physical body. We're not human beings seeking a spiritual experience. We're spirits having a human experience. So essentially, we are this tamped down energy, and I liken it to, remember the old Star Trek series where the crew used to go down to the holodeck, and the holodeck. The holodeck was the place where, I mean, it was so vivid and so real, they could actually interact with the virtual characters. And in some instances, they actually forgot they were the programmers and identify with the characters. Well, that's essentially what we've done. We're the programmers, and we've done such a good job in what we've done. We now identify ourselves with our own creations, when that's not what we really are.
You know, it begs to ask this question. You know, we seem to be in a very critical time with planet Earth, right? You know, there's a lot of environmental pollution, you know, burning down the forest and the rainforest, you know, all obesity in the world. I mean, we can go on and on. You know, poverty, homelessness. There's a lot of things going on in the world. It seems to me like a lot of that is caused because of this identity crisis, which you just identified, right? we thinking we're these bodies, having a physical experience, as opposed to a spiritual being having an experience inside of a body. There's an identity piece. If we can shift that, I think we could shift a lot on the planet. What's your hit on that?
Yeah, I mean, well, look, clearly the degree to which we move further away from our source consciousness is to the degree to which we have problems. So what we call evil in this world is the extreme where the consciousness has moved so far away from its source that it views itself as the be-all and end-all of existence, and it's able to do great harm to other people. You take a look at somebody like a Hitler, okay? Well, I mean, Hitler was extreme egomaniac, so far removed from the source that it forgot it was part of a community, and it was able to do great harm to millions of people. That's the extreme, and there's all shades in between, okay, of what we might call good and evil, even though those are kind of illusory terms too. But the point that I'm trying to make is the further we move away from the source, the more problems that we get ourselves in. The more we become conscious of the fact that we are a unity at another level of the source, then, we start to move towards, peace and light and more, enlightened type of ideas. So, yeah, I mean, the problems that you cited, largely, and incidentally, you hear a lot of people, particularly politicians, who describe themselves as progressive, and they're secular people, and they really, even though they talk about justice and truth and fraternity and everything else, honestly, it's mostly a bunch of words, because in reality, it doesn't turn out to be that way. They use these things for their own ends, because they really don't have a true understanding of what these things that they're spouting mean at a level of consciousness. Because if they did, the manifestations of their words wouldn't be what they are. They would have a different and more positive effect. So we need to be very careful when, we hear people, and I say again, I cite politicians in particular, but, pseudo-religious leaders, cult leaders, politicians and things like that, who say all kinds of great things, but the spirit is lacking. The spiritual awareness is lacking behind it. And so it usually turns out pretty bad.
Well, and I don't want to say this because we only got a minute or so to wrap this up, but along those lines, the reason to study quantum physics, the reason to study the Gnostic Gospels, the reason to move past the paradigm that maybe you're in right now is so that you can see reality clearly. You can see the nature of reality. And we do that by developing our intuitive sense, that place where we can tune into the quantum fields, superconscious mind, which we all have the ability to do. And, I think it was Einstein that said, or not Einstein, Leonardo da Vinci that said, stillness, he said, isolation is the price of greatness. The great sage Yogananda said, stillness is the price of greatness. You combine isolation and stillness, you start to tune back into yourself, go into nature, get away from everything that the TVs, the cities, tune back into you. And you don't have to get away from the cities. You can do it and learn to meditate and go in within yourself. But if you can understand these principles, just even a little bit, you'll shift it. And what will happen is you won't be caught up in the politician that is spouting out information that is nonsense. You won't be caught up with the con person that's trying to con you into doing something. You will be able to see from a place of wisdom, through the eyes of wisdom, to be able to step up and make the choices that are going to empower you and your family. Listen, I'm out of time. I got a half a minute. Anything you'd like to say before we go?
Well, I just want to mention to people, please go to my website, petercanova.com. It's PeterCanova.com. There's a wealth of information, videos, articles, information on my body of work there. There's a portal to my own podcast, which is also called Quantum Spirituality, on Dream Vision 7 radio network. it talks more about some of the books that Ken mentioned, the First Souls trilogy, and of course, quantum spirituality itself. So I see it flashing across the screen here. Please visit that website, and hopefully the book will be as helpful to you as it has been to many other people.
Gosh, well, I sure like this conversation, Peter. That was this is brilliant. Thank you so much for gracing us with your time, your efforts, your energies, your books. It's my privilege to have you here on this show. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
And for all of you, I want to thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to us on YouTube. We hope you do. We also hope you share this show with others. That's how we grow. And we just want to thank you for tuning in and being part of this. So until next time, I hope you continue to look for and see the unseeable, know the unknowable, and do the impossible.